Ryan Sophy. This is a very eye-catching headline, right? So this is Lord Robertson, ex-NATO chief, saying he keeps a torch in every room in his house. Why on earth is he doing that?
Yeah, this is a big sort of overview picture of Britain's sort of place in the world and where we think Russia is at the moment. And he thinks that Britain could come under attack. Britain should be ready, to face all battles from its adversaries. And if things like the air conditioning goes out, the lights go out, the traffic lights go out, hospitals may have to shut down, it's going to cause big problems for resilience within the British public. And one of the things that he does is actually keep, a torch on him on his key ring. He's got a torch in every room, radio backups up, in
every
his
room.
It's
a lot of torches.
But I think what it does is goes to the point that there is a massive issue with Russia, and he actually pinpoints it quite interestingly to when he thinks Russia may have sort of changed back in 2014. And he says it was a dagger to the heart of Vladimir Putin when President Obama called Russia a regional power, and he thinks that is the moment when it could have flipped for Vladimir Putin. But it's quite interesting. It's a pretty prominent, it's an important story. Yeah. And it's the fact that, he was the NATO chief. He's just done the strategic defence review in this country. So, and he was the last, first and only head of NATO who actually invoked Article 5 after 9/11. So, we should listen to, what he says.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, no,
and he's worried.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think as well, I mean, obviously there is a slightly amusing part of it when you think, OK, the NATO chief is warning that we're under attack and his solution is to have a torch in every room. It sounds a bit silly at the start, but I suppose what it speaks to is the way that warfare has changed. Yeah. And he's basically saying that Europe hasn't really caught up to that change at all. We're picturing warfare as troops on the ground and the traditional sense of war. But what he's suggesting is it's the cyber attacks, it's the undersea cable sabotages, it's these blackouts. It's, there's been so many stories about Russia trying to destabilise Europe with illegal migration. All of these things, he's saying, are actually the real thing we need to be ready for. It's not the kind of traditional warfare that we always knew. Yeah, and
without getting too wonky about it, and if you look historically, our biggest error always is fighting the last war. Mm-hmm. We saw it in like World War I, World War II, and actually it does feel like what they're saying now is, look, this is a new warfare that we need to get ready for. There's been a record day for migrants crossing the Channel. What's going on here? This is the Mail, right?
Yes, record day for migrants, 803 crossing the Channel. There was kind of a month or so where there were no boat crossings. And, of course, that for Labour was absolutely fantastic. That was a real cause for them to get out there and say, look, what we've done, isn't this great news? Of course, though, as always, that didn't last. And now we've had a record day. I mean, it was just a month ago that Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, was outlining all these tougher measures on migration, particularly illegal migration. And, of course, those aren't implemented immediately. We're not going to expect to feel the impact of those policies for quite some time. But at the same time, so soon after these announcements, then seeing that the problem is only escalating again, it doesn't send the best signal to the public. This has been an issue that's been top of the polls since before the election, long before the election, and it doesn't really feel like Labour has worked it out or got a grip on it, and these headlines don't help.
It must be frustrating. It kind of feels like whatever the government does, the thing that has the biggest impact on crossings is the weather. Right?
Yeah.
Saturday was sunny, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think as soon as there's a calm weather day, you get hundreds of migrants crossing the Channel. But it does show that because, as you say, the issue is so high in the opinion polls, the prize for Keir Starmer, if he can sort the economy out and he can sort the small boats and migration issue out, that he will see his poll ratings go up. But it seems like we are a long way from that. And if your deterrent is a one-in, one-out policy with France that doesn't maybe working on one level, but there's still a good chance if you come to this country you're going to stay here. So unless that can change, unless there is a deterrent that actually works, he's going to be in the same problem he will be this time next year.
I'm really glad we're doing this bin strike story. So this is the Birmingham bin strike. It actually is quite hard to get your head around. This started a year ago, and yet it's still going on.
Yeah, it seems like if you want to, deliver or take your rubbish to the local collection site, you have to book a slot online. There are agency workers who are also thinking about going on strike. Also, this mandate for the strike action goes on till May next year. So it's just going on and on. But it's also the environmental concerns from the public and the rodents. There's one guy who's quoted in here who's the sort of local pest controller. He says he's never had it so good when it comes to business.
I bet.
I mean, I wish people listening and watching this could see the images, and if you haven't, I encourage you to look at them, because it is so shocking. There is just piles upon piles of this rubbish that is rotting. It's been there for nearly a year, and once again, it's become something that's a bit of a class issue because, of course, the places that are worse affected are flats, places that are more condensed in housing with a higher volume of people per kind of square metre. That's where all the rubbish is. And, of course, as well, to book these kind of slots where you take your own rubbish to the tip, that requires a car, it requires internet access, it requires time, it requires all of these things that generally seem to really not favour people who are struggling and living in smaller places. Like, it's just one of those things. And it feels like we're just nowhere nearer than we were a year ago to actually sorting it out.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, and they're finding mice, rats, rodents, and there's one line here. There was a story about how some of these sort of rats are the size of cats, and he says, I would say kittens. So they are quite.
No,
they are
stop!
quite big,
It's too much. That's
yeah.
disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, Birmingham bin strike. I mean, we need to keep our eyes on that. It's just extraordinary. It really is. So now we're going to look at Christmas, right? Because high prices are causing what the Mirror is describing as a cost of giving crisis.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have similar stories to this most years, and every year it seems a little bit more extreme as the cost of living crisis continues to rumble on. And this is basically a poll saying that just over half of people are cutting back on the number of presents they're buying this Christmas because of rising costs. I mean, it makes sense. It is really tough. And I know we were speaking about it in the last hour, but, lots of people get into debt over Christmas, and that is just a terrible situation to have to be in. So people are kind of looking at where they can maybe cut some of their output, and I guess Christmas is something that takes the hit.
And not helped, of course, if you buy something and then it disappears from your doorstep, which is happening quite a lot, right?
Yeah, one company here, the courier company, have come under fire because there's lots of people ordering parcels, Christmas presents, and they're saying they're not turning up. There's one lady here who says that she's ordered 10 things. I think 9 of them haven't turned up some 6 weeks after she ordered them. So people are spending a lot of money. They're spending a lot of time actually chasing down these presents and these parcels. And MPs are now getting involved. They're self-employed couriers. A lot of them are doing it because they've got a limited amount of time to get round to their rounds and actually deliver them. They're taking a picture very, very quickly of the parcel to show it's delivered, and then just scampering. So a lot of the time you have these parcels on the doorstep.
I mean, it's a huge thing. I'm sure loads of people watching as well will have experienced this at Christmas too. You get the delivery, then it just turns up your doorstep and someone just snifles it. What I was interested to see is that a lot of it is in the incentives with the delivery drivers themselves, because we were talking about this, weren't we, this year? You get paid for each parcel you deliver, not how many times you attempt delivery.
Exactly, and I was going to say it's very easy to kind of look at your local delivery driver and maybe demonise them, but when you actually look down to it, it is the company's fault. I mean, this system is ludicrous. The delivery driver gets paid per parcel delivered. It doesn't matter whether it goes for your letterbox, it's on the floor, it does not matter. And that's the only way that they get their money. If you've spent money on fuel, your car costs, your driving costs, your time, to go maybe slightly out of the route to deliver something and you can't deliver it, you don't get paid. No. So that's kind of the issue there for sure.
Yeah, so if you've got 24p per parcel and someone's not in, then they're not in again, then you delivered it 3 times, then you're getting, less than 10p instead. Yeah. It doesn't make any economic sense at all. Great to have you both on. It's been a lot of fun having you here this morning, so thanks very much indeed. Alicia and Ryan are speaking to us there. In the next hour, we're going to be hearing about Christmas in Ukraine from a couple who just returned from the country that's under attack from Russia.
The best thing about being a Sky News journalist?